Good afternoon, everyone. This is Natalie Ellis with Ask the Therapist. It is Wednesday. We are already in May. It's May the 8th. Guess what, everybody? Today's my mom's birthday. My mom's birthday today, so I'm so excited. And with that, I wanted to just talk briefly about Mother's Day and some things that we as mothers can do to take care of ourselves. So to all the phenomenal women out there, all the phenomenal women who are mothers in all the different capacities that we can be mothers in terms of biologically, adoptive mothers, fostering mothers, aunties, however way, in whatever capacities that we are mothers for an individual, I want to give a big shout out to all these women. Okay, and with that, as mothers, we do a lot. There's a lot of things that we do, and we have a lot of roles that we've put on our plate, and it's important that we take a moment to take care of ourselves, to take a step back, to take care of ourselves, and make sure that we're not overwhelmed and we're not putting too much on us. Because again, when we're not taking care of our overall health, it does play a big factor in our physical and mental health, our spiritual health, and all of that. So as women, it's important that we do that. And as mothers, it's especially important that we do that because we take on some roles, so many different roles that we sometimes didn't ask for. And here we are doing them. And so, again, I want to shout out to all the mothers. And so one of the things I wanted to talk about is first let people know that there's a research that was done in 2011, and it was saying that 1 in 10 children have a depressed mother. Okay? So how many of you out there have a mother that may have had a diagnosis or may have had a diagnosis that wasn't confirmed, or whether it's depression or anxiety or whatever it is that's going on? So there's a lot of mothers out there that are overwhelmed and dealing with a lot on top of whatever mental illness or mental health issues that may be going on with them. Okay? And so it's important that we're aware of that, and we do the things that we need to do to take care of ourselves. Because it's not easy. We're juggling a lot. Okay? A lot of mothers out there are juggling a lot. A lot of them are full-time workers. So not only are you an employee or an entrepreneur, doing that day job, and then on top of that, when you come home, there's still the responsibility of motherhood that needs to be taken care of, with checking homework and giving baths and cooking dinner and all the other stuff, making sure the house is cleaned up, all those responsibilities. And then if there is a mate or a partner, then there's also that role and responsibility that also needs to be taken care of outside of everything else that we need to do for families and for ourselves. And so one of the things I want to talk about is just ways to take care of our mental health as mothers, okay? First, I would say to acknowledge your strengths. Acknowledge your strengths, and with that, also acknowledge areas of growth, areas that needs to be improved, okay? But definitely acknowledge your strengths. I think oftentimes, I'm a mom myself. I have a 16-year-old son. Oftentimes as mothers, we do a lot of things right. And there's times we do some things that's not so right. And so we have to acknowledge the things that we do right and the things that we're strong in. And the things that we're not, we have to take notice of that too, and how to make repair. Because as mothers, that role of a mother is a relationship that we have with our children, relationship we have with our grandchildren, or whomever we're taking care of as a mother. That's a relationship too. So it's not just the act of being a mother, but also the action in that relationship. And in that, due to our own stress, due to whatever we have going on, we can make mistakes, right? And there's a lot of areas in that we may need to grow in, and recognizing that, and whatever those mistakes are, and how to show compassion for self, and acknowledge our mistakes, and figure out what we need to do to move forward within our mistakes too. Okay? So that's one thing I would say. To acknowledge our strengths, as well as recognize the areas that needs to improve. Okay, so that's one. The next thing I would say is to ask for help. Oftentimes, again, as a mom, we want to do everything. If it can't be done the way that we want it done, or we have a certain way in our minds that the thing needs to be done, and it needs to be done this way, and if it can't be done this way, guess what? I'm just going to do it myself. And so we have helpers, whether it's our children to the capacity that they can help, whether it's our mate, family members, whomever we have in our lives, whoever's in our support network. We have partners. We have people that can assist us. And we have to be able to acknowledge, again, our strengths and our areas that needs improvement. And if we need help with certain things, being able to ask for it. Oftentimes I get from clients that they don't want to be a burden. Well, it's my responsibility. I don't want to burden anybody else with this responsibility. And I totally get that. However, we are here as humans. We're here in a community, right? And so we need to be able to ask our community and our support network for help and assistance, and vice versa, right? And so sometimes there's things that the kids can do to help out. Sometimes there's things that our partners can do to help out. Sometimes there's things that our different family members can do to help out, and we just have to figure those things out. And take some moment to kind of say, okay, what all do I have on my plate, and what's necessary, and what are the things that, only I can do these things. And obviously there's things only I can do, but there's sometimes a lot of things on our plate that, somebody else can do. They may not do it in the same way that I do it, but but somebody else can do that. Just recently I had a great couple session with this couple, and this mom. She's a parent of two, and that's something that she recognized. She does have a lot on her plate, and she's asking for help, and sometimes not sure how to ask for help. And one of the things that they came up that is needed in order to take a lot off her plate is the husband could do the groceries, can do the grocery shopping, right? And so something as simple as that, as the husband or someone else in the family doing the grocery shopping for the mom. Once you kind of lay out the list of the things and the brand you want to have, somebody else can do that shopping for you. You don't necessarily have to be the one to do that. And that itself can take a load off, because grocery shopping is a lot of work, right? So going to the store, putting the stuff in the buggy, and then putting it all in the car, and then loading it all out and going. I have stairs in my house. I've stopped doing that, so my son handles everything from that point. He brings everything in the house, and then he also puts everything in the refrigerator. And now that he's driving, he's 16, if the list is, it's a small list, I give him the grocery list to take to the store. He could do that, especially if most of that stuff is for him. You could do it yourself. So being able to delegate, and as moms, we don't often delegate certain things, and we need to be able to do that. So asking for help, okay? Again, it's also important to take time for self. I believe that this society makes mothers feel as if once you become a mother, that is your top priority. And in many cases, and yes, it is, right? It is your top priority, and nothing else matters. Children above else, right? But then it's important that we kind of notice, okay, at what cost, right? Because again, if we're not well, then even in caring and in parenting and in disciplining and in nurturing our children, it's hard to do that in our best way if we're not at our best. Okay? And so taking care of self is important. Time to rejuvenate for ourselves, because when we're here, right, we're struggling with everything we have going on. Parenting becomes a struggle. We're struggling. So I got to check this homework. What? That becomes too much. What? Too much. Everything just becomes too much when we're already here, right? And so that's not fair for the children, nor is it fair for anybody around us when we've gotten to a place to be here, or we continue to be at this place. And it's also not fair for ourselves. Okay? So, again, taking some time to figure out, okay, how do I take care of myself? How do I rejuvenate? How do I take a step back from parenting, from mothering, from all that stuff? How do I take a step back from all that to to bring myself back down again, to calm all this down so I could breathe without too much effort, right? So I can breathe and be okay again. And it's important that we do that. It's important to take respite from our children. You know, the children could go to grandma's, can go to sibling, could go to uncles and auntie's house and things of that sort. So sometimes we need to take a moment to do that. And for a lot of women, at least for a lot of my clients, I know there's sometimes guilt associated with that. And again, that's what society has taught us. And how do we take that guilt away, and how do we work through some of those guilt? Because it is important to make sure we're okay and we're rejuvenated so that we can be an even a better mom, a better parent, a better nurturer, a better disciplinarian, a better everything for our children. Okay? So taking time for self. Also, I would say the fourth thing is find your own kind of rhythm. Okay? Finding your own kind of rhythm when it comes to parenting, when it comes to disciplining, when it comes to chores and routines. It's finding your own kind of rhythm. Again, sometimes when we're doing something, we tend to look to other people and see what other people are doing to try to do things. And sometimes that's a lot to keep up with, right? And so we have to, and this is an adjustment being a parent. And being a parent at different phases is also different types of adjustment, right? So we get adjusted to a newborn, all the adjustments that comes with that. But then when that baby becomes a toddler, it's a different type of adjustment because now we're moving around a little bit more, right? And that becomes different when they become school age, a different adjustment in our parenting. And then again, when they become preteens and then teens. So as mothers, we're constantly adjusting to how we're parenting, we're adjusting to how we're disciplining, we're adjusting to our nurturing styles, chores, routines, all the things that makes us moms. We adjust. We're constantly shifting and changing it based on where we are in our parenting style, the age of the children. So it's important to find our own kind of rhythm, not what so and so is doing over there, but important to know what works for us, right? Because the way we parent can be totally different than the way someone else parent. And again, if we are married and we have a spouse, then yes, it's important to have that communication to make sure that we're on the same page and find your own kind of rhythm of how you're going to parent and discipline and do chores and as well as doing the routines, because again, it's different. And with every child, it could be different too. And so taking some time to kind of figure out what works for you, what rhythm, get into your own rhythm. All right. And I would say the last thing is, again, because mental health is on the rise, and for women, the more responsibility, the more things we have on our plate, that increases our risks for mental health and other maternal or women health issues. And so it's important to seek professional help if needed. In regards to our physical health, if we need to speak to our OBGYN, we need to speak to our medical doctor in regards to physical symptoms that we're feeling. We need to do that. In regards to our mental health, seeking a therapist, we need to make sure we do that. As well as potentially support groups. There are support groups out there for mothers, and maybe we need to connect with other mothers and create different types of bonds and seeing how that helps. Because oftentimes we feel we're maybe in a bubble, in our own little bubble, in our own little world, doing our thing, and we need to talk to other parents and other mothers and things like that. So, again, looking at where we are with things and trying to see, do we need to seek professional help and professional support to help us, again, be our best. Okay? So these are different things I would say for mothers as we prepare for Mother's Day, for all the mothers out there, again, all the phenomenal women. Acknowledge your strengths as well as the areas of growth that you need to work on. Asking for help, right? To your support network, asking for help in regards to your mate, asking your mate for help, asking your children for help, family members asking for help, taking time for self, okay? Finding your own rhythm when it comes to parenting, to disciplining, chores, routines, and all that, as well as seeking professional help. So those would be the 5 things that I would say for mothers, for all the mothers out there, as things to be aware of that could help you in your motherhood journey. So please take note of those things, and definitely reach out to me. I'm Nathalie Ellis. Have a private practice in the Decatur, Georgia area, called ESTEEM Counseling and Consulting Services. And again, if anybody is in need of mental health services, please contact me on my website or DM me. Thank you so much for listening in, and looking forward to bringing you more of Ask the Therapist. And before Mother's before Mother's Day on Sunday, I do want to do another segment of Ask the Therapist, where I'm going to bring one of my colleagues. She's a grief counselor, because I know Mother's Day can also be a hard time for these individuals who's lost their mothers, or who are separated from their mothers, or there's a disconnect from mothers. And so we go through the loss process too, when there's a disconnection from mothers too. So I wanted to kind of talk about that as well. So I'm going to bring in a grief counselor to give us some tools to deal with grief and loss in regards to the Mother's Day holiday. So please be on the lookout for that. So that may happen either this evening, tonight, or tomorrow evening. So please be on the lookout for that too. Okay, thank you so much for joining me today, and looking forward to bringing you more of Ask the Therapist with Nathalie. Thank you. Have a great day.